Ladies and gentlemen, in just a moment you are going to hear the voice of a man who will tell you some tremendously important facts.
Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott, and this is going to be so much fun. My brother from another mother is here today, Brian Larson. You definitely know Brian Larson if you listen to the podcast. 99% of my videos have Brian's music in the meditations as the background on many episodes. Brian's music speaks to my heart. It's amazing. And we've gone through this journey on YouTube together from the very beginnings. And he has been so gracious in allowing me to share his music, which I think just enhances and completely changes the identity of my channel, because this music is glorious and wonderful and powerful. And we've had some previous interviews. This is going to be a little different today because we have some exciting news. Brian has some new albums. I want to talk about these new albums, and we're going to play some music together. We're going to go over some of this music and find about its backgrounds. So welcome to the Reality Revolution, Brian.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here again. It's been a while.
Yeah, man. Well,
it's been a while.
Can't let it go that quick, that long. It's been over a year, I think.
It has,
since
yeah.
It's been. It seems like it's much shorter than that, but time flies, right?
It does. Yeah, it always does. It seems, well, lately it seems like there's an entire year packed into a day. It feels of of just change and growth and everything else. Yeah, it's a lot.
The amazing thing about Brian's music is, you go and follow Hans Zimmer right now. You follow, and he has this amazing soundtracks. It takes him a year to put out an album. Brian's putting out music at such an incredible clip and pace. We all take it for granted, but you're putting out an amazing, beautiful song every other day in many cases, putting out what would be the equivalent of an entire album every couple of weeks. And so the amount of music that you have in your catalog is amazing. And you and I come from an old era of music. That's the era of the album. When I talk about albums, people, like when I talk to my kids, they're like, what?
What's an album? What's a CD?
But we both come from the era when it wasn't about that one song. It was about the whole album. Yeah. And, each track always played its part. The third track had its part, the fifth track. There was always a certain kind of first song. The songs told a story, especially in the genre that you're in, the non-vocal genre, which you have some actual vocals in this new album with Reunion. Yeah. So this is we're going to talk about Reunion today. We're going to play some music. So tell me about your evolution since we last spoke and how it's been going musically for you.
Yeah. Wow. Lots of stuff. So, I've been going through a lot of internal and doing a lot of internal work, stepping into who I've always been, who I've always meant to be, finding my resonance, I guess. It's been a tough year because I've kind of
So it's been a tough year. You've shared a lot of your journey with me, and you've been through some ups and downs, and I think I hear it in your music.
Yeah. It's definitely been shining through what I've been doing. It's I'm feeling like an intensity that I've never felt before of creative energy, and with that is like life, the way I see where I'm at in life, with I guess the life I've built up until now, has transformed, has changed, has the way I see things has changed so profoundly, and it's caused a lot of life events and life things to happen in life that make a big changes, separation and marriage and big changes, and it's been really, really intense. So but with that, I'm finding a a deeper clarity of myself. I'm finding my my resonance, or my frequency, if you will, I guess, fall into its true form, like the Brian, like the higher self, is emanating, is becoming the Brian that I see, that I am, or whatever. The higher self that I saw like 10 years ago, they're literally the version of Brian that I saw 10 years ago, literally, that I am that now. Like I kind of, in my heart, I felt it, even though I was going through everything I've been going through for the past 10 years or so, or however long. I always felt this version, and I think it's amazing how things are unfolding in ways that I've had premonitions all my life in the ways things would unfold. I just didn't know how, but I felt I'm stepping into kind of a role that's bigger than myself, and it's energetically, it's a lot to take. Like, yeah, because the creative energy, like the music that's coming through me, it feels like it's energy coming through me, like it's an intense, like my nervous system is freaking out, like.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that. I've been really focusing on recent episodes on creativity, on awakening the creative energy. I can see personally this connection. When I open my heart to this creative energy, I feel more connected to the creator. But also I'm more raw. When I open my heart to that creative channel, it's not all peaches and cream. I'm opening my heart to I'm acknowledging the sadness. I'm entering into some of those dark moments. As the light shines upon them, they don't just disappear. You become them. You assimilate them. You understand them. And so, as I move as an artist into that space, I'm opening my heart to those raw emotions, which for many artists we see throughout history. It can be devastating.
Yeah, it can. It can be absolutely devastating, because it's like I've been afraid to really show the intensity of the creativity that I'm feeling in, like, just right here. So, like all my life, I got lost in drinking and everything else. Once I started Mettaverse, that's when the opening started. And well, it started for a long time with my music before that too, but then the opening really started, and now it's like the floodgates, and now I'm trying to drink from a fire hose. So
right. But for some people that can be a scary thing, but there is a place on the other side if we can get through it. I want, you're talking to other artists out there that are struggling, so I want you to tell them, I'm not saying that you're in that perfect place, because none of us are, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel if you're going through that hard stuff in the creative process.
Absolutely. And the light is just emanating from your heart. So and that's the creative process is what I've had to learn is that all of the things that I'm experiencing that I'm seeing that are keeping me from flowing are reflections of myself, are reflections coming back at me that I need to look at in myself, and understand from a deeper standpoint, and understand why those things are reflecting back at me, and why I'm feeling this way, or why these things are happening. And then check with my emotions, my emotional state. And then I'm learning how to, like, transmute that emotion in a way.
Now, I've had this experience recently in painting, and I wanted to ask another creator. When I focus on it, I feel like I'm not creating by myself. I'm
right, exactly.
Co-creating with this other entity that loves to create. And just I can feel the excitement, and when I have that, I'm in that co-creation with the creator.
Yeah.
I feel a voice. I feel like
Yeah.
somebody's riding in the car with me.
Yes. Yeah.
And I've read about this phenomenon. I want to get your perspective. Am I
Yeah.
crazy? Is that something
No,
real?
not at all. It feels like I'm channeling. It feels like I'm totally channeling. Like I think I'm only being given enough, only enough to know that I need to know. But I feel like I'm channeling in some really big way, I guess. And I don't understand it, but I'm flowing with it and I'm letting myself create. But it's 100%, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, even with the drawing, I haven't drawn for years, and then all of a sudden, 6 months ago, I just decided to do something, and now I just can't stop drawing.
Yeah.
And the stuff I'm making, I'm like, how is this happening? So like, it's never flowed like this before in my. It's always been a lot of effort to try to get myself to this place of creativity and coherence, heart coherence.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like it's channeling through me. Yeah, it's a bigger force. Yeah.
So since we last spoke, you've created some amazing albums, and I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
talk about some of this music.
Mm-hmm.
Before we do, just when you hear a song, and
Mm-hmm.
we've kind of covered this before, but for people that maybe haven't seen those other interviews,
Mm-hmm.
tell me the process. Do you hear the whole thing? Does it happen to you while you're creating? I know you said that you can see the song,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. How do I describe it? I create the imprint of a song before it happens. Like in my mind, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
awesome. What a amazing song. Like I just kind of, it's like I go into it knowing that I just kind of go into it from a knowing standpoint, and from an openness. Well, let me try to simplify. Okay. So I go into, usually my creative process is I go into something with an openness, and sort of a not really knowing how it's going to happen, but in my
Mm-hmm.
heart, knowing it already happened, and
Right.
holding that creative energy and channeling it into those little skill sets of working around with your keyboards and stuff.
Right.
And then one sound leads to the next, and it just kind of is this organic process where you start with one idea, one instrument, and then I guess the way I'm starting to hear it, I really am starting to hear like the fine details of like how these frequencies are lining up with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it has really evolved, but it's really become more flowy.
Right. Well, the thing that is amazing about what you do, and I've even seen this with my son, younger kids
Yeah.
making music too.
Yeah.
When I start trying to make music the way you do,
Mm-hmm.
For me, I want to pick up a guitar and play, but you make
Mm-hmm.
it through your computer, so
Mm-hmm.
it's a right left brain thing. Like when I
It
start
is.
doing the technicality of using the program to make
Yeah.
music, I
Yep.
lose that creative side. It's like I'm losing the soul of the song.
Yeah.
You're keeping the soul in it. I want to know how you do that.
Dude, oh my gosh, what a great question. I'm so glad you asked that, because like
Mm-hmm.
it's the right brain, left brain hemisphere. It's marrying the two together. And
Right.
that's the trick. That's heart mind coherence. Um, and that's the key right there. And we talk Joe Dispenza, and a lot of other teachers talk about heart brain coherence. And I guess I've always sort of known it and lived it in a way, or understood it, I guess, but not always
Mm-hmm.
put it into practice. But like understood it. And then when I started to really put it into practice, I'm like, then I started to hear about Dispenza and other people talking about this. I'm like, oh, that's what that is. Awesome. It has a name.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the trick is your left hemisphere, your right hemisphere, marrying those together, the divine feminine, divine masculine, those principles. It's bringing those two together to cooperate together and to enhance each other. And that's part of the creative process for me too, and is being able to understand the technicalities of the instrument, and also flow through the heart. And like, I don't know how I got there.
Can you imagine Hendrix, riffing on a solo in those beautiful etheric places that he would go, and then stopping on his computer and then entering it in, logging it in, and click down, and that's where I'm saying is like, you don't get the Hendrix solo, right? You're not getting it, you're not moving it, but I hear that in your music. You're still in that free space. So you just got to know the software so well it becomes secondhand, kind of, right?
You do, but also there's an extra sense involved, I guess. Maybe just intuition, or an intuitive sense that I mix with my synesthesia and just kind of like the energy of the song, like the way I view it visually.
Right.
So it's hard to describe. It's hard to describe, but it's an experience.
So we have so many albums I want to go over, and we're going to definitely talk about your most recent one, Reunion. Before we do that, I want to talk about some we haven't talked about. I was going to start with the Deep Divine. The Deep Divine has one of my favorite songs ever, and that's the Peace Mantra. It opens up with the Peace Mantra. If anybody's done the Peace meditation on my channel, I use the Peace Mantra. You have this mantra that sort of came from nowhere but it's also, there's some guitar in it. There's feedback. There's feedback that you built into it. There's a rhythm that's built into it. Let's play a little so people can get a feel for this. Everybody needs to find their own peace mantra, and that's what that inspired me. Is it's maybe it's like some forms of transcendental meditation. Everybody has their own. And if we can all like imagine a mantra of peace coming up and just start chanting it. If we all did that together.
It was a interesting time when I made that. I'm in Minnesota, and there were Minneapolis riots happening, and there were like Black Hawks flying over my head, and I remember sitting and that came out, that song came out.
And then on another track I wanted to talk about from that Deeply Divine is Dreamwalker. It just makes me want to go on a walkabout. You know what I'm saying? It's got this driving. Now, I mean, your music has always had these wonderful wind instruments, but not the classic flute or clarinet. You're playing with Urdus and tell me more about your focus, because you don't like the sax. I know that, right?
I don't know about the sax. I mean, I'm open-minded, I guess. I'm open-minded. I mean, Radiohead did some pretty cool stuff with the sax.
Floyd, right?
So I mean, so there you go. But so I have some, again, with instrumentation. I have plugins that I've invested in over the years that I've been able to like utilize and play and manipulate to kind of be able to express myself in a way that sounds super organic, that I'm actually playing or moving certain parts.
Right. You emphasize the in between, like even with piano keys, or I can hear the breath.
I put in my breath in there just as a piece to kind of meld it together, even though I'm not literally playing the instrument, which would be the most ideal thing. If I could, like, that's my goal, is to like figure out how to play all the instruments. Dude, that would be pretty sweet.
And then one of my favorite songs that I've played as background in numerous times. It's also a great video that you have. It's eternal, and it feels like it's taking me somewhat place higher with every note. You do something with piano that is magical, because I've never been a fan of the piano.
I
originally, would listen to meditation music before I could use yours, and I'd hear piano, and it would be but you've done something with the piano.
I know, every time I come up with a piano idea, I'm like, Brian's gonna like this piano.
Oh yeah, well, here, this opening, into the Omniverse. Wow.
A lot of this I utilized reverb as an instrument. So the piano itself is simple, but the reverb itself I've been able to tune it
as if I'm pushing the pedal down. For people, I'm keeping that sucker pushed down to the max.
And you play with that feedback. You played with those feedback tones.
Following on the piano from the Deep Divine is Light Holders. So you're mixing a little bit of that wind with that little clinkly.
Boy,
that's not piano? Maybe I'm wrong. That back
no, that was not piano. There were little chimes. If I remember right, I think these were like chimes and bells that I put some delay on and then mixed some EQ. It's like I have to mix the EQ just right so it fits in that pocket of frequency that the instrument is supposed to be in.
Right.
If that makes sense. Like certain instruments are like meant to be in certain pockets of frequency, and I guess sound best. And I used some bells to kind of fit into that little pocket, because the flute itself is sort of is round and is very full, and so and that's what I picture as a very kind of like a full ocean with some twinkling stars above.
And another really classic track, and it's one of my most requested when people are talking on chat, is A Still Mind. And I believe this one has some beautiful piano work in it as well. It also feels sometimes to me like a theme song to a classic show in the 90s, like a detective.
Oh, totally.
Like I could see the title tracks for some cool, show. Even a current one, right?
Kind of like a drama, sort of.
Right.
Or like oh my gosh, no way. This whole piano melody just popped in my head one time, and I like frantically was like, okay, and I didn't quite know how to like play it gracefully on the keyboard, so I just put it in MIDI and then programmed it in to make sure I didn't forget it.
You know what? Some of your piano songs. My grandfather was a music teacher, and he had a piano in his house, and I used to just play. And one of the things I think that's lost when people play piano, it becomes so technical.
Yes.
And then playing the chord. But I remember loving, like, I would just sit and start to play these tunes and hear the vibration of the notes going off each other naturally without any knowledge when I was a kid. And it takes me to that, like that free, just let's play around with the piano and vibe with it, right?
It's the free form experience of like the actual sensation of frequency, as opposed to like a song that's a commodity, you know. It's like the experience of frequency itself. And
right. So and that's what is you know, I had a conversation with Kyle Cease recently. We were talking about the difference between third and fourth density, and it's when you're creating art in third density, it's always about, oh, these people are going to like it, this is going to be a great hit, this is, you know. But in fourth, it's not about really like the result. It's like it doesn't matter, you're in that moment, and the beauty is happening in the moment, you're capturing it, right?
Exactly. You're capturing that moment, and you're just flowing, and you're just emanating creation, you're just emanating your true essence. And
so I wanted to talk about a couple songs on another album that you had, that the first song is I feel it's a special song. We created a meditation together, and Star Wanderers.
I love this.
You know, so many people tell me it's their favorite song, and it's such a beautiful song. It's got a female backing vocal, and some like almost like techno music vibe with so much variation to it. Anybody that is following along, you started off in that hum of the spaceship. Was the hum of the spaceship for the meditation. I mean, we created that together. I feel this is special connection.
We got to do another one of these.
We got to do it.
Seriously.
You got to have another Starship meditation.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I feel like if it almost made me sometimes feel like I've just died, and I'm entering into this other floating state, and like and it's like I'm outside of my body. The big key with your music is that that always comes is patience. You hear a lot of music on you know, I'm a big alt music fan. I'll listen to rock and roll and hit songs. The first of all, the guitar solo is dead. I mean, we don't even Pearl Jam with Mike McCready, who can shred, is not putting out songs with a guitar solo. I mean,
it's true.
People have lost their patience in music. Like, oh, we can't have that long, and nobody's doing the you know, 11-minute song like Pink Floyd in the days when they would start off. You would open it up just calmly, allowing you to launch, right? Why is that? What do you think?
When the student is ready, the teacher appears. So when you're ready to really fall into the experience of the frequency itself, then it'll unfold into bigger wonders. I guess, if that makes sense.
That absolutely makes sense. So and then another song that is just beautiful. I feel like I'm climbing this mountain, and it's when all else fades. It's taking me to the singular point. That's what I see. Tell me about the background on that.
Oh man, these songs remind me, like when I was writing them, they remind me of the things I was going through, or the things I was processing and integrating and going through at the time. Even the things I was learning, the knowledge I was acquiring at the time. Like this song brings me, like I was in a total like space mode and learn like that's like researching outer space and like metaphysics and UFOs and extraterrestrials and stuff. So I was like all the way out in outer space, and I was writing this song, and I'm like from this cosmic perspective, and
you can see yourself on a spaceship with this song, and you're encountering this gigantic planet or sun that's so massive, and you're so small. You're just like this. You're realizing the spectacle of something infinite and huge, right?
Yep.
That is from Prism, and that, you have some other great songs. The Heart of True Being, which has this beautiful. You go back to the wind instrument once again. So a lot of musicians will get into the trap where they smoke or they do acid or shrooms, and then I'm creative in this moment, right? It's such an easy trap to fall into, because it's true. You can when you smoke a joint or something like that, and suddenly you're given this temporary flash of ideas. Have you had to work with that? Because sometimes I've met people that just like, okay, I want to create music, I got to drink, or I got to do something. Have you had to battle that?
I have. Back before Mettaverse, I played in a rock band for years, and we had a lot of fun, wrote some great tunes, man. But I fell into drinking as sort of a way to overcome my own insecurities, or to try to bring out some sort of, to try to loosen up enough.
Right. It's almost like this demon comes along and says, here, try this, and you try it, and it's like your mind is temporarily turned on. It's just like, it's the false Buddha. I've heard the false Buddha. Right? I've heard it referred to.
What a great.
And it's like, oh, right now I got all these ideas, and then you feel like the only way I can get back to that.
And then you never get as high up, and you always just kind of go, and then you go down further, a little bit higher than down,
and you never reach it again. Right?
You never
think
really
you're chasing the dragon, right?
Yeah, you're chasing the dragon. Yeah, exactly.
And then another I got to talk about on Prism that is just always been since I was with your channel, and you put it on this album, is Celestial Voices, which has this sort of very, it sounds familiar to me.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's just it's a drone. I hear it's like a bunch of angels singing at the same time. There's a tiny touch of anxiety to it, but then there's a calming. It's like there's a battle between the two. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
you feel the underlying anxiety in the celestial voices are there to balance things out a little bit. And then there's that sound of the astral, which that right there, the kind of high pitched, where you can hear it and you feel it, and then it's like a symphony moving. It's like a wave that pulls me in and out, right?
Yes,
in breath.
Exactly. It's the in breath and the out breath, and
something that you really touched on at the beginning of your channel is that there's this angelic quality to a lot of those early songs.
With the vocals and the airiness.
And you also touched you also on Prism, you also visited that angelic style with one of your all-time classics, Holy Frequency. And so that's wind chimes, right? To start, you have a little bit of wind chimes. But this calming, which is just beautiful. And remember that when I first started the channel, we added 7778 deep relaxation as a code track to this. Remember, we did that a couple times. You got to talk then about Reunion, and that's your most recent album. If your shirt has the album cover, The way you put these together, is there a story? You called it Reunion. Tell me more.
To me, it's about becoming. It's about becoming. I think right now, I feel collectively like the world's going through a lot of things, and as people go through their ascension process, their awakening process, and raise their frequency and raise their resonance and their understanding of who they are. I think people are finding a sense of reunion, or I'm sensing that, a sense of like coming together of people who understand, and it's kind of almost like a premonition of even bigger sort of reunion type, bigger coming together in a bigger sense, in a not just a personal sense for me, but a sense in a collective sense, in an expansive sense, in an all-encompassing sense. So it's kind of a premonition album in a way.
So I recommend people buy this album, and I'll have a link for it in the description, and listen to it as an album.
Yeah.
Don't listen to these songs on YouTube. Listen to it as an album, because there's a story that you're telling with this. And it's sort of a journey that we're going on. We open up with Love Becomes Us, which has that slow fade in, which I always love. A great opening track. And you just found a certain combination of vibes with this, that what a perfect title, Love Becomes Us.
They just that I guess it just seems to, this song just seemed to happen somehow.
And then we move to the title track, Reunion. Even as you had said on the YouTube, an entire dimension is falling away right now that holds identities, emotion, wounds, and ways of living. Careers, relationships, old beliefs, a lot is surfacing to be worked through in order to ground into the new highest timelines. More healing, more honesty, and more self-love. But what a beautiful way to describe this song. And then we move to Peace Like a Flood. And you said peace does not mean the absence of war. Peace means the presence of harmony, love, satisfaction, and it's coming in like a flood after reunion. So you go through that first where it sort of opens us up to love and then connecting to the creator. And then there's this, if you listen to this emotionally, it takes you to that peaceful state. Then we have Sacral Sun, a new favorite track of mine. You kind of return a little bit to that wind. You called it Sacral Sun. Is it on the sacral chakra, or just?
Yeah, it's like a creative creation. I sense like the sun, like an emanating sun from my chest, just kind of like exploding out.
And then we move from that amazing creative song to, I think, one of my favorite songs you've ever done. I put it in your top 5.
Mhm.
Golden Lotus. It's just this
Yes.
building. Once again, you got
Yeah.
that piano, but more more interestingly, I want, if you listen to those first keys, your production of this song, there is no doubt it feels like you're really playing that. I can hear the fingers on the keys. I can hear that little sound of the key going down. The lotus flower grows in the deep mud away from the sun, but soon the lotus reaches the golden sunlight, blooming into a beautiful flower. And that's a great description of the song. It's sort of a blossoming and blooming, it's building. So then we move to an amazing track. Jess Nightingale is singing the Gayatri mantra with you at the same time. Her voice is just beautiful.
Yeah.
I have a meditation crafted around this beautiful song. Are we going to hear some more duets between you and her?
Yes. She
Can't
has
wait.
an absolutely beautiful voice. She sent me this, and I had to put it on the channel because
it's beautiful. It's amazing. You crafted this around the Gayatri mantra really well, and it's a powerful mantra. I just love, for this album that you added this element. So you and when I listened to it, it felt like I felt like it just built up perfectly into that song.
Yeah,
it's perfect. Right after Golden Lotus, and then we move into Limitless. This has that little guitar in the background. Yeah. It's like a feedback in the background.
Yeah. This was kind of my my Chariots of Fire, like well, not so much. No, I have a different song that's more of a Chariots of Fire type. I can't remember. Yeah, this was sort of that feel.
Yeah, you got to keep on returning to the Vangelis style. You got the Blade Runner song.
Freaking love Vangelis.
Yeah. So then we move to the full moon in Virgo. What? Tell me the story behind this one.
For this one, it was just like a case of that moment in time making something that I needed to hear.
Gentle, patient. It's a beautiful song, no doubt about it. And so then we move to Overflowing. a beautiful, dreamy, ambient song. It's got that soft whisper and sort of a building arpeggio, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then from Overflowing, we move into Sweet Dreams, which on the YouTube is sort of you use theta waves, a great sleep track as well.
Yeah.
It's just very calming, relaxing, and you're hearing some nature background.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now you go and you'll record real stuff out in nature and bring it on, right?
Yeah.
And then we move into, let's see here, Neptune's Tempest. Such a cool name. Transform within. It's a revolution of the heart. It's got that slow start.
Yeah, I wrote this one for a very, very raw place.
A little different. If you listen to the whole song, it has some variations and moves to different places. You're definitely taking some chances on this one.
Yeah, those are real cranes.
Cranes. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Same cranes as on the Lightweaver album.
Oh.
There's a lot of crane symbology. I use a lot of animal symbology.
And then you have Overtones, one of your regenerative songs that you kind of combine frequencies. So what is that? Is that
These are just bowls that I applied reverb to and EQ'd a little bit. And this, to me, coming out of the Neptune's Tempest song, to me, it seems like, for me personally, like this whole album has such a personal touch, because the Neptune's Tempest was kind of a breakdown point. It was like this storm, and it was like devastation and like blah. And then Overtones, it was like the stillness, the aftermath, just the sleep, just being in a slumber. Like, what now? Like, oh my God, like, and just kind of like hearing the overtones of the universe and acquiring my inner power and acquiring who I really am. So this was kind of a meditative song illustrating that process of like, when it seems like everything is gone, when it seems like you've lost everything, and then you're like, what do I do now? And then you start to gather that sovereignty you have within, and you're like, holy crap, I have that inside me already, so I'm okay. I'm still okay.
It really reflects the healing nature of this album. So
yeah.
And then you end perfectly with a unique song on your album. You're singing, and it's I Am Now, this beautiful mantra. I have not used this on any this kind of special, and I haven't used it on any of as background on any of mine. So because I just think it fits quietly, and that's you.
And it's after Overtones, it's just kind of a breath.
Forget about the past, forget about the future. You're healed, and you're in that moment. And that's what you get with this album. It's gonna heal you. It's gonna bring the love. It's gonna put you into that state. And then you might go through the roller coaster of your own emotions and shadows. And you come to this point at the end where you're in the ever-present moment.
100%. 100%. And you realize you're all that. And a bag of chips.
And a bag of chips. So you can find your album on Bandcamp. I'll put the link, and we'll have other links so you can buy the album. I recommend buying the album and listening to it, because some of these songs are a little different than what you might hear on YouTube. The Prisms album, the Deep Divine. You also have Astral Soundscapes, which we didn't have time to go into. And you also have Cosmic River and Flow State and Dreamscapes. In addition, most people might have heard Lightweaver or Travel Light. And so you got a bunch of albums, you got a bunch of great music, and I really wanted to focus on those. And I want to thank you. Thank you, Brian. Anybody that's a fan of the podcast, please support Brian, because without Brian, we don't have the podcast. His music's amazing. And I really want to support Brian. I want the whole world to know Brian. I have a dream that I'm going to turn on a movie soon. It's going to have Brian in the background, because I do believe that Brian, it would be great for soundtracks and so much more. You're healing people, you're changing people's lives, you're sharing your raw heart. And I know you go through struggles, but you're going into the fire like a fireman, and you're going to get burned when you do. But what you bring out is beautiful. And I just want to thank you for that, because it means a lot. And
thank you, Brian. It's amazing you mentioned fire, because through this whole process, through the process of writing all these songs, I burned my wrist or my hand. Wow. And this scar won't go away, I don't think.
It's a reminder now of your music, right?
Yeah. And so that's where I wear my mala, I wear my mala there too, my left hand. But that process, I remember when that happened, and it was another sort of breakdown process, like, WTF, why is this happening to me?
We don't realize that. We listen to a lot of music and we just take it as it is, but musicians are going on a journey that can be a struggle, because you're opening your heart. Ultimately it's going to take you to a better place, but a lot of people that are listening are not in that place, and they feel the emotions of it. But what you're doing is it's scary.
It's scary as hell.
You're walking naked, and it's a scary thing. So there's so many other songs we could list in my top 10. 4 of your songs are in my top 10. I think I had a podcast where I had my top 5, but that was mostly just singing songs. But your songs speak to me on a personal level, and as I've mentioned to you, I feel like I've heard, sometimes it brings up reincarnational memories for me, because I feel like I've heard some of these songs before. And when music does that, it's very powerful for me. It's a primal thing. It's a reminder of something go beyond this incarnation. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people that share that sentiment with me.
That's amazing.
You can on all my videos, I have the links for Mettaverse. You can you can buy him a coffee. You can find you can find his YouTube channel. Support Brian, please. It's my dream that Brian is fully kicking ass as a musician, and you're doing it. And I'm just, if we can support you, that would be great. And so thank you so much for what you offer, because most musicians would not allow someone to just play music like you do for me on my YouTube channel. it's not normal. You know, I'm super lucky to be able to play this mind-blowing, you know, movie soundtrack level music on on every meditation. I try to do a different soundtrack every time so people can vibe differently with it, because your music seamlessly moves together. But I could never thank you enough. It means so much to me, and you've been there for me.
Same, Brian, and you've been there for me. We started this journey together back in the way long ago.
It's crazy because when I first heard your music, I assumed that you'd been doing it for a long time, and I was like, oh wow, I'd love to play your music. I didn't realize we were starting at the same time. So
yeah.
So everybody, check it out. Check out the links. Check out Brian's channel, and welcome to the Reality Revolution. Powerful fourth density technologies. Images designed to magnetize and broadcast. Now available at newearth.art.